Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you so much for joining us this evening. It's always an honor and a privilege to have you watching us week in, week out. And as we are, as Africa Sports Consultancy, we do our best to go out and find the top athletes, find people who we can bring forward to you and who can add so much value to the show. And tonight is no different. Tonight, we speak to one of Zimbabwe's bright rugby prospects, and it comes in the form of a speedster, a mighty speedster, and he goes by the name of Tafadzwa Chitokwindo. Tafadzwa, how are you doing?
Hi, good. How are you doing? I'm good, thanks.
No, I'm very well, thanks. Very well, thanks. Thank you so much for, setting time out and coming to speak to us here tonight.
I mean, it's always a pleasure to share my story or to motivate other aspiring athletes there. I know that you mentioned me as a prospect, but I think I'm already past my prime, so I'm a dying horse already.
Look, to be fair, you'd probably beat me in a 100-meter race, even if you ran backwards still today. So
that might be true.
Yeah, 100%. I really think so. And you say that it's sad. And this is not part of the script, but it is very sad that when you look at rugby players or sportsmen, essentially sportsmen and sportswomen in Zimbabwe, at the point where you'd think it's their peak period, they've retired long before that. And you're like, well, really?
Because the thing with sports in Zimbabwe is there's only a few teams that are very professional, and by professional I mean only a few people can be able to say, okay, I'm just doing sport, and that's my livelihood. I can pay my bills through sport. So you realize that by the time people get to 25, 26, they would have realized that there's nothing coming back from this thing called sport. So that's why, most of the time we tend to retire before we even get to our peak or just after our peak. So that's the sad story about Zim Sports. I mean, it is what it is.
Yeah, we're diving straight into the detail here. Fantastic. Ladies and gentlemen, as you heard from the man himself, we've got him here. Tafadzwa, it goes really quickly. I always put this warning out. There's so much I'd love us to talk about, but we'll see how far we can get. But for me, as a starting point, rugby or athletics, which came first?
I think we always joke. Okay, people always the senior guys always make fun of me. I do not play rugby for Zimbabwe. I ran for Zimbabwe. So I'm not really a rugby player. I'm a track and field athlete on the rugby field. So athletics took first preference for me. I think I've lost you in terms of audio there.
I mean, when did playing rugby become a reality for you?
For me, I think it's the time when I moved schools I was at a public school, Victoria High School, and then I decided, okay, let me just move to a private school. This was my lower six, and I went to Cal College. There I met my then headmaster, Mr. Ordendale. He's a very kind man, very passionate man about rugby. So when I got there, I even kind of forgot about my books, the reason why I was there, and everything just became rugby. So I think that's when I just made a huge step in terms of my rugby career.
And you say that before you made your move from Vicar, you were already representing the province in athletics.
Exactly, yeah. I think ever since I was form 1, form 2, under 16, under 18, I managed to come tops from school level, district level, provincial level. So I always made it to the national finals representing Masvingo. Most of the time it didn't go so well, but it was a learning curve. By the time I got to under 20s, I became the national champion. So yeah.
And I know we've touched a little bit on sport in Zimbabwe, but an area I would like us to touch on is schoolboy rugby in Zimbabwe.
Yes.
During your time, what was schoolboy rugby like?
I think rugby to most schools is the epitome of of sport when it comes to just how people respond to, if it means being a fan, if it means being passionate about something. People always look up to rugby. So in my days at Vikai, the guys, they used to call themselves Chipembere, the Rhinos. And if you bump into someone who plays for that team, probably have to go on your knees and bow down for those people, because they were the lords of the school. So back then, just the fact that you played rugby meant so much. Even the teachers themselves felt intimidated by the rugby players. So that's how much respect rugby had back in the day. I mean, I might say back in the day. I'm not that old. It was just a few years ago. But yeah, that's how big rugby was then. And the guys were also big. I realized that with time. Nowadays, if you go to high schools, it seems like we're going down in terms of size, rugby players. I don't know what's happening, if it's just an era of small people, but yeah, it is what it is. Back then, people were just big. Or maybe I was just small. I don't know.
Yeah, you're definitely not slow. I can tell you that for sure. And, for yourself, you rose to prominence quite quickly. You went on, you played Craven Week Rugby. You went on, and again, by 2010, you were playing for the Sables. Do you remember your debut?
I definitely remember my debut, but always I remember the game, but I always forget the year, because I'm always fighting with someone. No, I started in 2010, and he's saying you started 2011, because it's always a matter of how many caps do you have? Are you a senior? Are you not a senior? So we always fight about it. But I remember it was at our sports club. We were playing Kenya, and I just got on last few minutes for my namesake. I think it was Tafadzwa. So I got onto the wing, and then we played, I think, 4-5 minutes. I touched the ball once, and that was it. But then for me, that was a huge leap into something big, because I knew that it felt good going onto the field. It felt good hearing people in the background just cheering for you before you even haven't done anything. So I realized that, okay, I need to make this a reoccurring thing, and win a starting jersey in this team.
And that would have been in the Sables team, the full 15s team, wouldn't it?
Exactly. That was the Sables 15s code of the game.
And you also went on to play for the Cheetahs, which is the Zimbabwe Sevens rugby team. Do you also remember when that was?
This one I clearly remember. I played my first tournament for the Cheetahs in Dubai, and my first try was also against UAE. Everyone goes, everyone's, I'm going to Dubai. So it just come out as a country in my head. But yeah, we played against the Emirates, and this is when I scored my first try. First touch, got the ball, just ran around everyone, and then boom, that was me. But back then, I just used to play 2 minutes, 3 minutes, 2 minutes, 3 minutes, 30 seconds even, because I was not yet there. The coach back then was Liam Middleton, and he knew what he was doing, because if he had just put me in the deep end there, he said I was just going to crash and I'm out, or I was just going to make a name for myself. But I think the gradual introduction to this code of rugby sevens, being given so little time, just prepared me for the bigger stage that I'm playing right now.
You say that. Last week we had on the show Richard Mujange, and he spoke about how cricketers in Zimbabwe were actually rushed into the system and not gain enough experience prior to them making their full-on debut. And what you were saying really speaks to that.
No, but see, the problem is that people always say, I was talking to another youngster there, he's trying to make it into the senior men's rugby. And I was saying that the biggest lie that you will ever be told is that you still got time, you're still young. You still got time, you're still young. That's the biggest lie those youngsters are being told nowadays. Because time waits for no man. You might think that you're too young, you wait till you're 22, 23, 24, you get an injury and you're out already. So if you think you're good enough, you've got the confidence, then jump straight into the deep end, and then make sure that you showcase your talent, and people desist from this habit of saying, this guy is too young, this guy is too young for this guy is too young. Experience is not about the years you've played a sport or something. It's just about what you've encountered during even that short time, and how you've managed to overcome that.
I like that train of thought, and the way you've put it has sold it very well to me. And it's like you said, you were eased into it, and you went on to do really, really well. And at the same time, you're saying that sometimes you need to just be thrown in there and let's see what you actually have got. So lots of ways to skin that cat. But now for you, what would your preference have been? Sevens rugby or 15s rugby?
Yeah, it's no secret. Sevens, you've got more space, and I'm a fast person. I'm also good with my feet, and I would prefer sevens any day.
No guesses there. You're definitely right. With your speed, massive asset in sevens rugby. But I'm going to take you back a little bit. Tell us about your time at Rhodes University, and I'm told you hold a degree from Rhodes University.
Yeah, I got enrolled the year that I played the Sables. I was already at Rhodes University, if I'm not mistaken. This was 2010. I played also varsity rugby there for the first team in Grahamstown, South Africa. I was doing my Bachelor of Commerce, majoring in economics. So it took me 3 years. Most people were also astonished. How did you manage to finish? Because I've got friends that I also went with to Rhodes University, but some of them didn't manage to finish in the actual prescribed 3 years of university. So I don't know. It was also the best time of my life. University. I encourage anyone who's able and who can go to university. That's the best time of your life. You experience more than just the education. You learn so much about life there. So yeah, I finished my degree. Cutting the long story short, finished my degree in majoring in economics in 2013, and then I came back to Zimbabwe to look for greener pastures. I didn't like staying in South Africa because of insecurities with crime and everything.
Interesting. And I love how you looked at a holistic view of a university journey. A lot of people just think it's about getting a degree and getting out.
Yeah.
And I love how you've put it, how holistic it is. And, it's a message more people need to be hearing.
That's the thing. People assume that if I send my kid to university, the one thing they should come back is a degree. Yes, it is the primary objective, but there is more to going to university other than just the piece of paper they bring home. And then the day, some people can't even get jobs with that piece of paper. So people should go out there, explore ways of survival. This is what my father always told me. Don't just go somewhere. Don't go to a place and stick only to what you've gone there for. Try explore other ways, other means to survive, and see where life takes you.
Now, you say that your life has taken lots of twists and turns, and we might unpack a couple of them tonight. When was your last game for Zimbabwe? And if you can tell us why that was your last game for Zim?
The reason is quite simple. COVID. Played my last game for Zimbabwe in Uganda. When we played the Africa, I think it was the Africa Cup. Yeah, under Peter de Villiers. That's when I played my last game for the Zimbabwe. This was the Sabres.
And COVID done away with, will you still play for them?
Yeah, I actually got a call up. I actually got my ticket today, so probably be flying in Zimbabwe beginning of next month. We're training for the Olympic Games sevens. So yeah, we'll be camping in South Africa, but I'm flying through Zimbabwe. So we've got something lined up in terms of rugby. Thank you. I think I've lost you again on the audio, but I could read your lips. I still can't hear you. Still nothing. I think you've muted yourself again. Yes.
For you with a call up, you never get used to it, do you? Because it's still a national call up at the end of the day.
Yeah, you never get used to it. I mean, I was listening to Usain Bolt the other time. You're saying even if he's asked to come and run today, the nerves are always going to be there. I think that's one thing you can't take away from sport or from competition. Even if you've been there for 20 years, you can never expect certain things. You can never anticipate for certain things. So I know you get the call up, you're excited. You don't get the call up, you're disappointed. So you keep on working on yourself.
Well, 100%. I would never know what it feels like because I'm not a top athlete like yourself. But I can only imagine it. And where are you now? So you said you bought your ticket to go to Zim. Where's your base currently?
I'm based in Germany right now, southern part of Germany. It's called Pforzheim. This is where I'm playing my club rugby. I've been here since 2014. So around about 6 years in Germany playing for the same club. So yeah, this is where I'm based.
And you spoke about insecurities in South Africa. You've gone back home. But again, I want to go back to an article I read about you a few years ago where you had mentioned that you were finding it tough in Germany, especially in the beginning stages. So in saying that, is there any chance of you moving back home and playing your rugby at home?
I think it's one of those adapt or die. I had a few challenges and I'll continue having those challenges because I mean, we'll always be second-class citizens here in Germany. There was a time when I was going through very tough times in terms of racism and just missing home and whatnot. So I actually called my mother the other day. I'm like, I'm coming back. And then she's like, if you're not happy, then might as well come back. But I've managed to just open up and make friends with people that I can relate to, and managed to also come across very good Germans that I associate with. And I think life has been better ever since. So the plan is definitely to come back home, but not to play rugby after retirement, and then maybe join the corporate world.
And you say that, and if for anyone who's just tuned in, it's Africa Sports Consultancy. We've got here Tafadzwa Chitokwindo, and he's chatting to us on the live tonight. And Tafadzwa, I want to just dig deeper on that. For me, it's always something that I hear a lot of Zimbabwean stars based abroad where they can't even play rugby at home. And is it feasible to be playing rugby in Zimbabwe at the moment, be it club rugby or any sort of level of rugby?
No, I mean, it's Zimbabwe's got, I think it's got better talent compared to where I'm playing right now. But it's just that the funding, the money to make things go as smooth as they do this side is the hindrance. So it's very feasible for someone to go back home and play club rugby, but then don't expect that to be to bring food on your table. If you're going to play rugby in Zimbabwe, put in the effort of a pro athlete, but expect the rewards to be that of someone doing their hobby, because you're literally not gonna get much from that. That's the sad reality of playing rugby at home. It's a stepping stone to get you somewhere, probably a national team call up or a call up to another team abroad.
Wow, that's difficult to stomach. And in you just saying that, would that be a reason as to why there's quite a lot of talent that almost gets lost from Zimbabwe? You see and I don't know if that's the case with, say, a Beast who went on to play for South Africa, or Pocock who went on to play for Australia.
Yeah. I mean, people always look for greener pastures. I know that there's always the whole controversy of how can you go play for another nationality? How can you play for another national team? I mean, and lose your nationality. But at the end of the day, people have got bills to pay. People have got goals that they set for themselves. I mean, if I had the opportunity to go play for the Springboks and then end up playing in the World Cup and then end up winning the World Cup, then I think I would take it any day, and any rational person would also do the same. So, I mean, people just try and do what they find more rewarding.
It's sad to hear, and it's not just with rugby as a sports code. It's, we've spoken to people in swimming and cricket, in football, and it sounds like a recurring theme. So in terms of rugby as well, do you think that the union is doing enough?
I mean, like I said at the beginning, it's just sport in Zimbabwe in general. It doesn't have to be rugby, it doesn't have to be volleyball, netball. It's just their whole entire sporting system. We just don't have the companies that are willing to invest in the sports. We don't have the government that has got the capacity to back whatever initiatives that are being put in place by the different unions. So we cannot then go back and say the union is not doing much when the economy itself is struggling. It always comes back to the economy. How do you expect companies to inject money in sport when they're not even doing enough to keep themselves afloat? So I wouldn't want to blame any union. Of course, sometimes there are controversial issues that take place, but at the end of the day, it's just the economy that we're in. Tough times. It's sad that the government cannot provide for the various unions.
Wow, well spoken. And it's an answer that, a lot of people are quick to point fingers to say, no, this union is not doing much, the coach is not doing this or that. But I actually believe that any sport is an extension of a country's culture.
That's true. That's true.
So if you're saying that, as we both know how tough things are in Zimbabwe at the moment, to be a professional athlete there, regardless of the code, is going to be challenging, isn't it?
Very, 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 very true. Because if you look at it I always look at it at sport in Zimbabwe from tourism point of view, because we are the ambassadors of the country. Wherever we go, they do not recognize me as Tafadzwa Chitokwindo. They recognize me as this Zimbabwean. Wherever the other guys go, be it volleyball, be it netball, swimming, yes, they've got their names, but then at the end of the day, they're referred to as the Zimbabwean athlete. So we are the ambassadors of the ambassadors of the country, and if by all means the government could assist in making sure that we go all the way in terms of taking our country out there, then I'm sure they would. But then it's just that it's not in their capacity. They cannot come out and then offer what they do not have.
Oof, yeah. I'm not going to go into that conversation, because my next question would be, how can we develop that? But look, that's a whole long conversation, and our time is ticking. Obviously, this is pre-recorded, and what we have done is we've collected through the course of the week a bunch of questions. So we've got a few questions that we've had people on the socials asking. So I'm going to go into them now.
Okay, cool.
Okay, so the first one I've got here, it says, what do you miss the most about Zim Rugby?
What do I miss? But I'm still involved in the setup, so I don't think it's in my, I don't know if I'm getting the question correctly.
Yeah, I would think this is local rugby, so not playing for
local
Zim.
rugby. I think
Rugby,
just the war cries, the morale is different. I've got two other Zimbabweans here that I play with, and sometimes I just sit there in the changing room, and then I start singing by myself. And then people, yes, of course, they're nodding, they're enjoying, maybe they're enjoying it, maybe they think this guy is crazy. But it's just the fact that I do not have 14 other people that can relate to how I can boost myself before I get into a game. So I think that's one thing that I miss about Zim Rugby.
Or you might need if you need a cheerleader, I'm always there, man. I'm always available anytime.
I need to train one of you.
Fantastic. The next question here says, how long do you see yourself playing rugby for still?
I think I'll give myself maximum 3 more years, and then I'm out. I need to go out there and start looking for money.
Yeah, you did mention earlier that you want to go into a corporate space, and with your degree, I'm sure that would tie in very well. And your sport and education are just a combination for success, I always feel. And that's what we believe in at Africa Sport Consultancy. And it's trying to merge the two. You know, we try to look for athletes like yourself who, or try to build athletes like yourself who, on one hand, can play their sport, but at the end of the road, know that they have something else to jump onto. And it doesn't have to be a degree. It's just a skill or a trade.
A skill and trade. Yeah, this is one of the things that I really admire about the South African sporting system. After people have done they've done their journey in terms of sporting, they always find themselves maybe back through consultancy. Maybe they end up working for a broadcasting station, sport broadcasting station. They always find themselves somewhere, which is not the case in Zimbabwe. If you play soccer, play rugby, once you're out, you might be out for good. People won't even remember you. They're not even Hall of Fames to remember your name. So yeah, that's the sad reality.
Definitely is sad. And, you know, the hope is that in, I don't know, 10, 20 years, we won't be having the same conversation and Zimbabwean sport will be back to where it belongs.
Hopefully.
Right, so you might have answered this one already, but it says, how can fellow or younger rugby players make a life for themselves playing rugby in Zimbabwe?
I mean, it's a tough one when it comes to Zimbabwe, but I'd really push for people to try and put 50% into the sport if they're really passionate, and then 50% on their careers. Be it careers, by careers I mean through books, through other skills, so that yes, you're passionate about rugby, you're gonna play rugby, but then you also have to have the income that sustains that 50% of sport that you are so much vested in. So if you want to play rugby in Zimbabwe, then don't make rugby your sole provider, because it's not going to provide much. Have other means of income. If it means that you've got a job, if it means that you've got some passive income going on, then just try to combine the two. Don't focus solely on rugby, because only probably less than 1% of people playing rugby in Zimbabwe will make it into the big leagues. Less than 1% or less than 0.5%.
That's a bitter pill to swallow. You know, for me, thinking about it, that in essence says that as Zimbabwe, it's going to be difficult to produce your top of the range athlete, because if someone's focusing half in their work, half at their sport, so they will never, can they really achieve their full potential thereon?
I mean, they can. This all comes down to the, I would want to say the union, but the union is also under the economy. So it comes down to the economy. If you've got an economy that's very stable, an economy that's thriving, then I'm sure companies also turn rugby into a professional sport in Zimbabwe, so that I can go Monday to Friday to training and know that at the end of the day, at the end of the month, I'm getting my salary. I'm getting my $2,000 because I'm just playing rugby. So this is how we can make, the one thing that we can do to make these young athletes reach their level is by professionalizing rugby, or any sport in particular. So this is the only way that I see these people going all the way. But other than that, we just have to say 50-50, because if you just play rugby, you die of hunger.
Die of hunger. I don't know why I'm laughing at that. But look, if there's any corporate, or if there's someone who runs into this video one day, hopefully they will be a part of this change. And be it in sponsorship or be it in playing. But I'm hijacking your fans' questions. There's two more here. One which I like,
but I
one
just
which...
want to say,
Yeah.
having said what I've said, I just want to thank, I mean, we've had a couple of sponsors along the way. They've managed to squeeze in a couple of bucks for us to make sure that we go play abroad. I mean, the fact that I'm even flying down to South Africa or to Zimbabwe, someone must have done something. So we've got a couple of guys that have been helping us, and we also want to show our appreciation for that. We really see what they do, and it's not that we're saying they shouldn't sponsor us, but they are there because we are here. They are there.
Wow, gratitude. Love that. Love that. Lots and lots of time for that. I'll get to one of the questions because we don't have time to get to both of them. And I love this question, actually. What would you tell a younger Tafadzwa?
What would I tell a younger me? Give, like, I think I've also touched on this. It's okay to give 100% in rugby, but know that most sporting careers will not last more than 20 years. Have a backup plan so that when this is over, you can actually look back at your sporting career and say, wow, I enjoyed my sporting career. Instead of you now regretting playing sport instead of doing something else. I don't know, maybe going to school or doing books or working. Just have a backup plan, because this rugby career or this sporting career that you talk of will not last more than 20 years, or maybe not more than 30 years.
Ladies and gentlemen, you heard it here from Tafadzwa. Have a backup plan. And in saying that, it's something that resonates personally with me, because I have a few mates who were in and around the Zimbabwe Rugby setup, and a couple of them are actually stuck now with, they've given their heart and soul to the rugby, but the financial reward has not been what they hoped it would be. And it's like they're not in a position like yours where they actually can play abroad and actually have a degree and can bounce off one way or the other. But yeah,
I mean, I'm currently working on my, is it still a backup plan? My second backup plan. I'm also enrolled here in Germany at university. I'm almost finished. I was doing another bachelor's in IT, so I'm also finished. I'm left with the semester, and I think this is a big step for me, because everyone is looking for IT people. So even in Germany, they're looking for these skilled workers. So let's just put effort in making sure that there's life after sport. That's the biggest message I can give to people out there. So be prepared for that.
Fantastic. And I love that message. You are such an inspiration. And just listening to you now, I'm sure there's young boys and girls who are sitting there going, I want to be like him. He's got his ducks in a row. He's got his rugby going. He's got his education going. He's a parent's dream.
I mean, thanks very much for the compliments.
Ladies and gentlemen, you heard it here first. Tafadzwa Chitokwindo, Zimbabwe rugby player, sevens and full on 15 side. He's a man you do not want to take on in a 100-meter sprint, because he will definitely, you will be eating his dust. And, sadly, our time has run out and we have to say goodbye. But thank you so much for joining us. And we ask that you continue to sanitize your hands, continue to wear your masks, as COVID is still a reality. Until next week, take care. Goodbye from my side, and see you here, same place, same time.